I'm
Garden.
good. Well, good, sister. How are you doing?
I'm happy it's Thursday. I've been in these streets since Saturday working.
All right. You working on the weekend?
Yeah, they had me working on the weekend. That ain't like me. I don't be working on the weekends.
I know. I know you got lots of demands of you on the weekend from from your Lord, right?
Oh my goodness, my lordship. You talking about my grand poobahs or you talking about that man I live with?
The man you live with. You don't remember? You
Lord. Oh, that's
you
right.
don't,
I forget who I'm hanging out with.
you don't remember the Bible verse where it says, you know, be obedient to your husband as you are to the Lord.
You know, people like to quote that scripture, the scriptures that they pick, you know.
Hey, scripture, right? It's scripture is scripture. And people like to reject parts of the scripture because I never heard no and resistance being part of obedience.
Listen, I I have no problem honoring my spouse. Okay, I ain't got no problem honoring my spouse, but I can certainly let you know that we're not walking around here in no medieval conversation talking about Lord and your lordships. But I have no problem honoring my spouse. So be clear. Let's be clear that that is not what I'm doing.
Hey,
Welcome
but you know where
everybody.
you come
It is
from.
our Thursday in the Rose Garden, and my brother's already acting up. My name is Sarita. I'm one half of this sibling pair who comes together every Thursday to have our own mental wellness. And look, listen, I ain't gonna have no friends if I say I keep hanging with you, uh, because the group chat has a lot to say about your mouth and your overall. You know, you go back and forth with goodness, and
I,
so what I keep telling him is he's a work in progress, and we're gonna just keep our knees dirty, making sure that Xadian goes to heaven because
you know, uh, my Lord and Savior has already prepared a place for me there.
okay,
I'm,
yes, you
I'm just waiting. My spot's secured.
it's secured, huh? You feel like it's
Secured.
you
For
feel like you have sufficiently earned your way into heaven, huh? That's what you
sure.
said.
For sure. It's secured.
Listen. I still have work to do, so I'm gonna make sure that we're gonna develop together.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's been a wonderful week for me. What about for you?
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, it feels like this week is 2 months condensed into a week. You know.
Yes, like it's been busy, and I like being busy, and
Yeah.
a lot of good celebrations, um, despite things that have been ugly around us in the world. So I'm
Hmm.
thankful for that. One of the good celebrations is I now have my 1 year old fat little king. Our little the youngest turned one, and
Oh, happy birthday to him!
I
Congratulations to him.
know my little sugar wooger, my grandpooba turned one, and I learned something. So we got two, and the oldest is they're roughly 11 months apart. So the oldest is they're both one now, but his birthday is like 3 weeks after the youngest.
Hmm.
So the youngest didn't like the candle. So, we were singing happy birthday and,
Hmm.
the fires blazing. And the oldest was like, well, if you don't like it, I like it. And like from across the room, my shorty like blew his breath and like knocked the candle out. And his mama goes, your breath must be really hot if you could do it. If you can blow a candle out across the table. So he looked at everybody, was like, let's get this party started, shorty. Let's get into the cake. And I looked back and both of them were covered in cake. Both of the kids,
Wow.
from arms, face. It's the
What did
cute.
they do?
They put their hands all in it and started eating.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
No, they couldn't wait. That's how we do it nowadays, huh?
right. They were both like, you know what, this is a celebration, and y'all got cake, and we don't need all this singing. And next thing, I mean, we literally took the candle off, turned around, went to the kitchen to get some order and decorum, and to cut with a knife. And we came back, and arms was milky, full of like icing.
Mm,
So it was cute. It was really cute.
mm.
So in that moment, I was like, you know what? these mugs just living and having a good time and not under the stressors that we are. So I decided to live my life like a 1 year old and be very, very deeply grateful and just enjoy and to step out and do some things that I never do. And I did that this week. So I'm very proud of myself.
Mm, mm.
I'm very, very proud of myself. The group chat has been fired up about your comments last week.
Which one specifically?
Well, we're not even gonna go backwards in time because we have a new thing to address today.
Let's talk.
And so, I don't know. I think I shared this with you earlier about the internet and its conversation about Pastor Bryant's wife and their dress. And
Mm,
everybody in the group chat is interested in hearing what dear bald headed brother has to say about this dress. So, a little backstory because I know you don't follow the internet. I don't either. But Pastor Bryant and his wife went to an event, an award ceremony.
mhm,
She wore a dress that was not modest. It was a pretty dress overall, and it complemented her figure and her body and what she had to bring to it. Um, and she felt good in the dress, and
mhm,
uh, you know, so she wore it, and then all of the people who were a part of the church leadership
mhm,
really was were kind of concerned by the fact that this pastor paraded his wife to an event in that dress, and so
mm.
it yielded mixed feelings on the internet. I'm so here, like, so since you didn't see the internet comments, I really like, just from like a human perspective, have so much to say about people who don't know each other having so many opinions about people. But I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, I agree with you on that one.
right,
The break. I mean, I'm looking at what you sent me, right?
right.
The collage of pictures on it. Like you said, I mean, it definitely is. She looks good in the dress. No,
I think
in terms of how she looks in it, and she killing it in the dress. Now, given a role of what she plays into the community in terms of the feedback that they're trying to give her on it. Once again, I don't really feel like uh, they should even be concerned about this. You know why? Because
why.
we all human, right? So
What does
just
it
because
mean?
she's a pastor's wife doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to wear a sexy dress like this.
So you would label it a sexy dress?
Well, look, I was thinking this, right? So you know how Kanye West is married to this, I don't know, some new chick, right?
Yeah, I know.
And that new chick, she, so people are trying to say that he has her out there wearing all this provocative stuff and doing these like, you know, risque things. Like, I think they got kicked out of Italy or whatever because she was giving him fellatio in public and stuff like this. So
Mm.
that's not. I guess that's frowned upon or something. They was like, we don't want
Yes, it's
to.
frown. Like, wait a minute now.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
do not want you to be using these words as if you guess fellatio is frowned upon in public. Like, I know you know better than that.
Well, how many people have gotten down like that in public? You know what I'm saying, for it to be frowned upon, whatever. But people are saying that.
No, 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 no. You don't get to dance over this. So you're saying because people have had the experience, it should not be frowned upon. Is
Well,
that
I'm
what?
just saying that why people play these self-righteous games, right? Because I think, like, what you were saying previously about envy and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of the social reaction to this is deep rooted in envy, truthfully, because one, the fact that she looked so good in the dress probably got half of the haters, talking about it from that perspective.
Hmm.
Two, you know, it's long been known that pastors and all that stuff, maybe indulging in the financial benefits of things, and people don't want them to be able to enjoy the fruits of the divine labor brings to them.
In your mind, then it means it would be an attractive woman who could pull that dress off. That's the divine labor.
No, what I'm saying is, like, whatever the fact that they had an award ceremony, that they got to dress up and look nice, and they might have like a nice house and a nice car to go along with it and all this stuff.
Okay.
And people are struggling in the community, right? So to be one of the community leaders or whatever, I guess like people expect that you are also you know uh, along with them in the struggle. But it's hard for them to be able to see you reaping some benefits and rewards, because I know definitely when I was broke and I was looking at a pastor or whatever, and I'm just trying to get a couple dollars, what I'm saying, to pay my bills or like go to school or something like that. Like, give me, hey, send that tithe plate around one more time. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll help me pay.
Scholarships.
Yeah, give me a little scholarship or whatever. And they tell me, we don't do that here, Xavier. We don't, like, where all the tithe plate came around like 3-4 times in this 1 hour service. So what happens to all that, right? And then if you see the pastor living in a nice house and he got a couple of nice cars and you broke, like you feeling some type of way. Like that definitely was one of the things that stopped me from going to church. You know what I mean?
So are you connecting to the fact that many people who probably are reacting to this dress are reacting because they
And
don't see themselves, because it's envy, and they don't see themselves actually reaping, any benefit from the money and support that they give the church?
100%.
But I just want to challenge that a little bit and say that a lot of the criticism came from church leaders who would have really been parallel in this kind of situation, where they were also probably benefiting from the mass of their
But
church.
that's hypocritical. It's just like a person saying, "Hey, we ain't supposed to be eating after 8 o'clock," and I just caught your hand with the cookie jar while they still got crumbs on their lips and shit. You know what I mean? so, so I question all these, leaders that are heads of these, faith-based place of, their own morality, right? I mean, because based on how much faith-based operations are these communities of need, you would
Right.
think that that the communities wouldn't have no need anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I think you're bringing up a bigger issue, which is how how do these faith-based institutions support the very people who help their institutions grow? That's a
100%.
different discussion, which I think it's an important one and we should have it. But you are surprising the group chat by position, in that you're suggesting that it would be okay for you to have a partner who presented herself like that,
Yeah,
because
why
the
not? She
group.
with me. She ain't out there by herself with a whole group of capital females presenting herself like that. She on my arm, you know, looking good and representing, and we together. Yeah, I have no problem with that. And then I think also, you would expect there to be some, sensual and sexuality between, romantic partners. The husband and wife couple. You want
Mhm.
to be doing that, and there's evidence of it in the fact that they procreate. You know what I mean? So the
Right.
fact that a person is looking, alluring, attractive, sexy, appealing, or whatever, yeah, good for them. You know, yeah, they should have a night like that where she's showing off in that kind of way. I have no problem with that at
Well,
all.
I'm feeling inspired in this moment because I did not have the same reaction that the internet had.
Mhm,
I think that while you are a public figure,
mhm,
um, you can also be yourself, an individual. And
100%.
if that's what you choose to be and choose to represent, sexiness, sex appeal, whatever, and you're with your partner, that's between you and your partner. Now, I will say
100%.
this:
Mhm.
do think there is value in modesty. And I would not call that dress modest, right?
It ain't modest because, like, she's she definitely showing off, some of her physical aspects, and I think for sure that's something that's well earned. It looks like, you know what I mean.
Well earned what way?
That she must have been eating right, working out well, and take care of herself. So like she's able to rock something like that to make it look decent, first of
Okay,
all.
or we could say that she purchased it. I don't know what made her, but to
True.
your point,
Good. Good.
she has there's a sex appeal about it, and that
No.
does not. So let's then this kind of pivot for a second and really situate this in like what belief set is. Like I do think that everything you're saying about this experience is good, and it's actually eye opening because nobody in the group chat felt like you would believe like think this way. So again, see, this is the you be over here being so different, we don't know who you are. And what you're saying is being a beautiful person and is important to you in relationships, and being able to show off that beauty in public spaces also is important to you, and that people need to have the freedom to do that instead of always feeling like they're going to be judged, devalued, and minimized. Totally love it. I will say this, I think there's value. I think you can be both very sexy and be modest. And all the things that you're saying and be modest. I can say personally for myself, I have never worn a sheer dress. Like I'm just not gonna wear a sheer dress. I mean, and I'll say this: I'm not gonna wear a sheer dress in public. Now, perhaps I'm hanging up down, side down, and whips and chains in my own boudoir, but I'm not gonna wear that in public.
Well, let
And
me ask you a question on that, if
okay.
I may.
Which
Have
what? Which
you
on what? On
have
what?
you have you ever wore a bikini or bathing suit in public?
Of course I have.
So then, what's the difference?
Again, I think it's time and place and situation. In a pool where it's hundreds of degrees outside, typically, like I'm not swimming in the winter in a bikini, right? I'm in a tropical place in a warm setting where it would be improper for me to jump in the water with a sweater on.
Not no, because they make those long, what they call them body suits that where your whole
Okay,
body is covered up.
let's say this because I think bikini and string bikini are something totally different. I have never walked my hind parts around in a string bikini.
Well,
Have I wore a
that's the
bikini?
difference of saying like wearing a sheer dress with undergarments and without undergarments is that's the difference in it. Like
No, the
I
difference is the
really
string
got some
bikini.
undergarments on underneath there, so it's like ain't nothing wrong. I like trippy
No, the
toes.
string bikini is only to be like it is a very attractive piece, and basically, I'm letting you see my entire butt. Some of these bikinis that I'm wearing or other people are wearing, it's like full coverage, other than you got my midsection out and you can see my boobs. So like, and it's not like full boobs either. You know what I mean? So other than that, like,
And
but
there's different degrees of bikinis because
there's
there's
different
regular bikinis that might not be string bikinis, but they
right
quite.
higher cut. We got some that most of the women who are like wearing the higher cuts, wearing the string, they're not as perhaps modest, and that's what
Mhm,
I'm using that term for a reason,
mhm,
because some people could think sweatpants and t-shirts are sexy, right? But
mhm.
it's you got to use a whole lot more imagination for sweatpants and t-shirts than you do if I'm wearing a belly shirt, the tightest leggings there are, and everything is cut low. So I do
Mhm,
think that
mhm.
there's a difference in like, and I think that you can be both very sexual, sexy, and sensual without showing everything off. So that's what I think is the discussion, is like the time and place and for what you are representing. Like, so if I'm representing my spouse in a place that's a business and I want not to distract from whatever it is that we are there for, I don't know that I would choose a dress that was sheer, and because I do think that you could have been very sexy without that dress.
Well, what if he approved of it though?
He did, he purchased it.
So
So
if
it's
he
different.
purchased this dress for her for this event,
Yeah, so to
so
me it's
is she supposed to deny that? Like I think
no.
she's being very obedient and, and appreciative and grateful for what he purchased and then rocking it.
Well, what my point is, though, is, and again, this is not, I don't want it to come out judgmental because I don't think that what she did in the confines of her relationship is
Mhm.
wrong.
Right.
I think that they have a relationship where that kind of behavior is acceptable and valued, and it
Mhm.
doesn't diminish any part of their love or what they have
Mhm.
going on.
Mhm.
I will say though, for me,
Mhm.
modesty is important and beauty is important. Like I don't want to go to an event looking ugly, right? Or looking unattractive. And I
Right.
don't think I've showed up in spaces that way. But
Mhm.
I can tell you I'm not coming to an event where there's sheer anything. And when I say sheer, it was like a sheer netting. So it gave the illusion of body. It probably was not her body.
Mhm.
So I do think that there's choices we make as individuals, and if you make that choice, I think it's somewhat foolish to then be surprised by the backlash. And
Well,
I don't think that
100% on that.
that's the genuine part. I think that's what I'm struggling with. Like
Mhm.
you knew your choice in this.
Yeah, it was gonna be
You
was gonna
represented.
definitely, yeah, it was gonna
That's
definitely get attention.
right. That's like me going to court, right? You
Mhm.
know, and that's my job. That's my workplace. And I'm in fishnets, a low, and the reality
Some
is
people do that though.
people do that, but
Yeah, yeah.
people do that, but then that's the same like that's the same thing as like this actually happened. I was watching something where the judge asked the person to cover up,
Oh,
put your blazer on, put your
wow.
blazer on, and the person's reaction was like, why are you looking at me? You're an old man, blah 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 blah, you ain't supposed to be looking at me. And the reality is, like, we were all looking.
I
Like
hear you on that.
we no other choice but to look. And so if your reaction is going to be one of surprise and one like, oh, you're a dirty old man, then
Yeah,
to
I like that.
me, we
Yeah,
have to take some ownership of how we're showing up
100%.
in
Definitely
spaces.
agree.
And so that's the part of the conversation that I think is missing, is the reaction from them felt disingenuous and not authentic to me,
Mhm.
because you know what you represent to your community, and
Yeah,
you know what you represent in those spaces, and the belief set. And these are not people who themselves have not been judgmental in some capacity, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what leaves people out of the church a lot of times, is church folk. I know I can't stand certain churches where, oh, you can't wear no makeup, and you can't, dress has got to be, lower than your knees, and just all kinds of like stupid things where, and to top it all off, we don't see the resource allocation
Right,
every month,
right,
which
right.
is a real discussion. I think we need to have that.
Yeah,
Um,
no doubt, no doubt.
so I do agree. Like, so I think what I am struggling with, besides the dress, is how disingenuous the response was when you could not have been surprised by that. Like, so if my husband put me in a G string and then paraded me up and down the strip, he can't be surprised that somebody's going to turn around and whistle. Somebody's, and then
Right.
that's the thing I think that is
No, I
missing.
agree with you. That's very valid. You know what I mean? But also, I guess to me again, you know, it's like, if just grant her the assumption that, she does have a nice physique or whatever, like if that's true, then I think that's definitely extraordinary. That's different than most of the females out here, and off of that alone, she might get some hate for that, right?
Mhm.
Then you couple that with it being alluring, sexy, and sheer and all that stuff too. And most of these the same people that's probably complaining can't pull that off, right? So
Mhm.
I can see that. But it's to me, as long as she was safe, right? Because these things uh, could definitely open you up to some sorts of violations or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So as long as that didn't happen, as long as her husband was, appreciated, enjoyed it, and was approving of it, and they had a good time and all this stuff. Like, what's wrong with that? I mean, we human, regardless if he's, whatever role he plays in life, he's still a human being and subject to everything else that we
Right.
all are,
I agree with that. And I think that that needs to be spoken. Now, let's put a little stint on this, because this also came from the group chat.
Mhm.
How would you feel personally
Mhm.
if that was your daughter and this is a young woman?
But
And
those are the type of things you got to avert your eyes from. Like if it was my mother, my daughter, my sister, uh, or whatever, then yeah, that's a type of thing. I ain't trying to see that. You know, like I don't want to see my sister, my mother, my daughters at the beach in the bikini.
Okay, but
Put your towel on, cover up. You know what I mean? Put a robe
what
on.
I'm saying
You
is
know what I mean?
on a national stage, because let's just use the fact that this the surprise you displayed when you said Kanye and his wife were kicked out because they're performing fellatio. Like,
But he be on one
imagine if
though.
Kanye was doing that with your daughter, and
I
regardless
wouldn't like
if it was
that because I would not like that. No, I wouldn't like that because I would say that there's a aspect of demeaning and degrading and stuff like that could be happening there, in their situation, which is probably different from the Bryant's situation. So to me,
why
it's
would you think that?
detail.
Why
Well,
would you?
I mean, like did you see him and her on the I think they went to an event like a red carpet event, and like
Mhm.
he had like uh snatched off her overcoat, like man, show this
Oh,
thing off. And I was thinking like she ain't really look too happy, like you could just tell like in the body language, like she wasn't feeling it, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And then what she was wearing was really, almost nothing basically,
It was
what I'm
clear,
saying?
clear,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so in that, yeah, I'd be wondering because then I'm thinking to myself, like, what do there's a thing, I guess, where in that same Bible verses that, it says that the man's role is to love his wife and to cover her up, you know what I mean? Like pretty much protect her and stuff.
Mhm.
So if you're putting her out there like that, you definitely opening her up to. And then the question is like, if somebody was to jump out there, would you be capable of protecting her? And what would you do? If something was to.
So why is that same scenario not applied to the pastor and his wife?
Well, I mean, I think it's different because like this situation it's not, it doesn't look like exploitation or demeaning or diminishing activities at all. It looks like you know both parties is on the same wavelength with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just different. Like I mean,
Same
little
rules,
things. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I always be wondering why. Like, let's just say a woman be at work, right? And she'll call sexual harassment on the dude she don't like, right? Whereas, and all that dude did was ask her on a date or something, say, "Hey, you're beautiful. Would you like to go to lunch with me?" And she's like, "Hell no, I don't want to go to lunch with you. You sexually harassing me. I'm here to work. I don't want to do lunch." But then uh, a guy she'll like will do the same thing and it'd be okay. Nothing different. Only thing different is the way the woman feels about the person doing the action. You know what I mean?
Well, I
So
think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. For harassment to happen, it would have to be like a persistence beyond a no, right?
could
Um, and
could
and I think to your point though, so like I think there's some more, a little bit more nuance. But to your point, that's why I'm saying like having these rules and boundaries around like time and place, situation. Like maybe at the workplace, I shouldn't ask this person out, but if we're like at happy hour off the clock, it's a good idea to ask, no matter what. So, like, I think there's like time and place that can change all of those things.
Well, do human beings follow those rules, time and
But
place?
it's our responsibility.
Like because in that situation that we talked about, because you had hit me yesterday on a subject matter that was similar, where you know, arguably, what I'm saying, that it's debatable, you know, people feeling like, hey, this person's attracted to me and they're giving me these vibes or whatever. Maybe the person was, who knows? Maybe they weren't. But
Mhm.
that's subject. But I think if the person that's making these claims
Mhm.
was open to the advances, and how would a dude know? You know what I'm saying? Like let's just say a dude sees you and he feel like, oh, she's destined to be my wife, and you gotta take a shot, right? And sometimes you gotta take a shot where the shot opens up at, right? Because the possibility might not be there again. You know what I mean? You might be passing through the office, you might not see the person again. So you take the shot, right? And then the
Okay.
person look at that as that was inappropriate. You know what I mean? And it may not have been inappropriate. I'm just saying, all things being considered and being fair, that what he does is exactly what another person that she liked would have done.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing different is she didn't like this guy. So she's ready to burn that dude down because she's like, forget him, you know. But
Okay, this is what I have. This is my pushback from that is
mhm,
that it is your responsibility in almost every interaction to establish the boundary and the limit that you want to have. So
mhm,
let's just say, okay, fine. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, where you're like, oh, I see this person for the first time. It's a work situation, but they're just so gorgeous. I can't control myself. I got to say, in this moment, hey, I want to take you out to dinner. Fine, let's do that.
right.
But it's to me the honoring of the boundary. So, like, maybe someone could say something like, I make it a matter of practice not to date anybody at work. Thank you for your compliment. And
100%.
and then
How they
stop
handle
talking
that.
to me about it. So every time I see you, I don't need to hear about how gorgeous I am, or I don't need to
I'm
hear
just on
about
that.
how that one time I told you, which that to me is probably more emblematic of what happens than, you know,
That's true. What you say could happen, but then also there could also be a possibility to where that person just gets it a lot, right? Let's just say go back to the example that you was
I
sharing
shared
the other
yesterday.
day, right? Yeah, so that person just this happening to that person a lot, right? So I'm just number 1001 that does it, right? You know what I'm saying? I just happen to draw the wrong straw, right? You know, and all I do is say, hey, just you know, gentlemanly, respectfully, and all this stuff, I'll approach it, right?
Hmm.
And just because this has happened to her 1,000 times prior, and she's like, I'm sick of this because this keeps happening to me. And then it blows up because I'm the one, the number slot that did this, you know. So and that is also a nuance, that could happen. That's innocent or whatever. But to your point, I do think there's a time and place, for things and all this stuff.
And
And
I think people should honor people's boundaries.
they
Like,
should, but
and I
when
think you should pay attention to cues. Like,
that's true.
one of the things that I think that we are bringing up, which is like people really don't pay attention to cues. I can again situate myself in this situation and scenario, and the thing that I shared with you yesterday, just it would not happen to me because when I go to work, I
Right.
have an absolute RBF on my face. Ain't no, I mean, it's really like I'm
RBF. What's that? What's that?
resting bitch face.
You got one of those?
I got one of those. Like look, I put my glasses on and shit, looking like and I go in spaces like, I stare at people like, don't play with me, like, and I
But,
talk.
but there's some suckers that will like, and let me not name call.
Yeah, don't call them
I
names.
don't want to name call. But there's people that will cross boundaries.
They do, but then but I immediately
Mhm.
and I'm gonna give you this actually happened. I was walking into a scenario. I was new into the scenario. I had to go pick up somebody from the location, and they didn't know me. The person who answered the door was like a gatekeeper for the organization. And I stuck my hand out to introduce myself and be like, oh, this, I'm here for such and such. And so when you shake hands, you're supposed to let go. But that person like held it. And so like
Mm, mm,
so in that
mm.
scenario, something happened. So in that scenario, we had a power exchange because no, I couldn't move my hand. So ordinarily, I would have been like, stop touching me. Like, why are you touching me? But I froze in that moment because it was more like a fight or flight response. Like, okay, he's a little bit stronger than me. Like he's clearly not cueing. Like I still was like, why are you touching me? Like it like even shocked me where I was like, and then I was like, okay, well, it's such and such here kind of thing. So in those moments, a lot of things I think happen for people who are in a different kind of power scenario, let's just say women, then maybe it would happen man to man or something
I
like
hear
that.
you on that. I'm
So
with
like
you
we
on
also are responding to social cultural cues that keep us safe.
that.
So in
Mhm.
that scenario, I couldn't necessarily always be like, oh, this is the boundary and this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, I did follow that up later and tell people, like, I'm not going there by myself. Let's not shake hands anymore. Like, I changed protocols
Mhm.
because of that scenario.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, people are sometimes not always able in the moment to be like, okay, this is my boundary
That's
because
that's true.
people are not
That's a
paying
very good point.
attention to cues.
That's a good point. So let me ask you this: like, as a you know, I guess you would say a healthy contributor to a healthy relationship. When you and your spouse are planning to go to an event, who is the most important people, dictating the 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 conditions of this event to you, like what you're wearing, how you looking? Is it you and your husband, or is it you and the people who will potentially be there, the people that you're representing? So given like this event that they went to.
For me, for me, it's what I represent in the event.
Mhm.
In addition, like I look at me and my spouse as a package. So we represent each other. He represents me. I represent him. So like, let's flip the to like he has events that he has to go to too. I would never like,
No, I feel you on
you
that.
know,
But if y'all agree to, like, in this event, we gonna show out. Like,
but I'm a more I have a friend, and I think I shared this with you. I have a friend that this girl dresses, she's the baddest dresser I know. Like she is like, I mean, she is, I think she has to win like all these aesthetic awards. Like she can dress.
mhm.
I have never seen her appear unmodest or like, but she looks great in her clothing. She's sexy, she's beautiful. You will mouth droppingly, like everybody looking at her is like, oh, that girl's beautiful, the clothes but she's modest every single time. So I think that you can be both. I do not think that you have to, and I practice this, I think myself, as a matter of how I situate my life. I do not think that you have to reveal and expose every part of you
I
to
agree with
be
you on that.
sexy. I think
I
I
agree
think
with you that.
you
I
can be
agree with you.
sexy and not be revealing. And I think that's what modesty is. Like I'm
Mhm.
not going to any event in a muumuu. Like that's just not. But but I am going to the event recognizing that whatever representation I drop in that space, it will persist long term. So like if I go and I'm, in a sheer dress, no matter what, that is always, and I think that's what people don't remember. I can tell you this, I never paid attention to Pastor Brian's wife. I wouldn't have ever said she was even gorgeous
Mhm.
before or
I
had
hear
the body that I, think was as attractive as now. I'm never going to be able to forget it. And
you.
that's, I think, what is
But
kind of
that may have been the point. Because what if you want, like, let's say I told you that between men, and this is just something that happens, and it does. I'm not gonna put a moral, um a moral orientation on this one way or the other, but it's just like this. Men gonna be judging themselves off of each other, right? So what if I want to say, well, this event, I'm Pastor Brian. I'm like, well, I want my wife to stand out at this event as being the best, the baddest chick in here. You know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
So essentially, he achieved that. They achieved that, right?
Yeah,
Based on this stuff, and like what you said at the end state of it, you'll never forget that image.
right,
And it's gonna burn it. And so ultimately, there was some success in
right.
in, in that sense, and being as though part of their ability to thrive, in the line of business that they in is
Mhm.
the congregation and attention, and the way that it can expand and it scale, right?
Right. You're
So,
right.
so I think some of those things, publicity wise, might have been a great benefit for them. But I do feel you, on this modesty thing, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm wondering, just basically how the modesty can actually benefit somebody in the long run.
Right.
It, to me, I just guess it is, how they say, just continue to be down to earth and touch with humanity and stuff like that, because we will be humble in many
Yeah,
ways, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
also, I think when the person can't beat their chest, they should too. You know what I mean? Because they
Well,
should. Like,
well,
if you
I
know you're the sexiest motherfucker in here, you know what I'm saying? You should strut and stride like that is so. You know what I mean? If you just
I do have a slight problem with the idea that men like to parade their wives around. Why not parade yourselves around? Like if like I've seen some really good looking men, like their bodies are good looking, they're
But the
beautiful.
wife wants to be paraded around. If you ask me, because I was thinking
I
to,
know that.
because I was like, for instance, it was a basketball player, uh, uh, homie from damn Steph Curry, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So his wife was saying she feels some type of way when they be out together because like everybody know him and he's getting all the attention and stuff, and he got to be like, well, this is my wife, like try to point or steer attention in her direction, and she was feeling some kind of way about that, you know. So I was thinking, what if you do have this man as the attention draw, and the woman. I don't think that dynamic works. I think the more suitable dynamic is the woman is raised up on a pedestal and she's getting the attention. You know what I mean? It's
So
better.
the woman is sexualized.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not raised up. See, when you and I will say that was a different argument she was making, about. So I'll put that there. It was a different argument. It wasn't because
Get no attention. She
well.
felt like
I don't know that
she
she
wasn't
wasn't that
significant.
he wasn't like. I think the argument she was making in that sense was, I am valuable too. I have sense. I have brain. I'm a business owner. I have things that I
Not
work
at the same
for.
measurement of him. I mean,
Well, but
it's
his
just like what you
like
say when it's the standitude and stuff. If you're
right.
a business owner, you only have, your business is restricted to a certain geography, a certain industry, a certain,
Well, he's a celebrity, and that's different.
That's right.
Celebrity
That's
gives
right.
you international acclaim. You
100.
Sheik, however, can be very, very successful within the industry she's in, like Amal Clooney. That woman is dope. Okay, hands fucking down, she's dope. She just happens to be George Clooney's wife, right?
So
So,
who is the dope?
but he's a celebrity.
Or what makes her dope though? Because I don't
She's
know her, so I'm
girl.
not curious.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. So she's this attorney. She's brilliant. The lady's brilliant. I like her a lot, and she's actually very, very attractive to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say,
I need some like co-signers on what y'all.
Lord Hammer, she's attractive. I think she's
Because
attractive.
my sisters would say a woman is, well, basically in their eyes, every woman is attractive because they be like, this girl is beautiful, and I'm like, who? What girl are you talking about? If all the girls around that they point to, I'm like,
everybody has some attractiveness. Everybody has some attractiveness. This is very true. And at least in my opinion, I think that sexiness and attractiveness are two different things. There's
100%.
Even when I'm looking at like something that's not like put together in the sexy package, I can find an acute, like they got cute lips, they got cute eyes, they got cute. So that's what I'm saying. And I think because I think women are sexualized, and especially Black women, we do have to be careful because that is kind of culturally how we have been situated in the society. Is that, oh, we're overly sexual, and for children we're sexual and adultified, those young women. Like, I think that's problematic. So why wouldn't we want to be valued for what we bring in terms of like how we think, the businesses we develop? So I think that's what she was trying to say when she was positioning the fact that she's married to a celebrity, and she's very proud of her accomplishments, but everybody's like, oh, this is Steph's wife. So I got what she was saying. I think again it was taken out of context, and it's not the position that I'm putting here, which is the point you were trying to make before was, what was the intent behind what that couple was trying to make? Um, I think the intent was to do exactly that, is to have tongues wagging. I also recognize that all of these people are businesses and they're celebrities in their own right. And what makes you a celebrity, right, wrong, or indifferent, is your name in people's mouth. Like, the reality is, in our society, being smart, successful, all that isn't valued. You can get pissed on and become famous, and then everybody wants to sleep with you, which is like just crazy to me. And you can become like a sex symbol to people, when to me that's filthy. Like there's nothing beautiful about it. I wouldn't want somebody to love me because I got peed on and
assy stuff like that.
right. But that's what our society values. And so I think the bigger point here is, again, maybe that was the play. Let's get attention. Let's, because that's going to give businesses and partnerships and things like that. But I also think that, we as Black people need to be careful how we let ourselves show up and what happens to us, because we're never going to erase a narrative if we keep buying into the narrative, right? So if we keep saying that our women are sexy and we got big butts and then we're not, it's going to be very hard. And we're the ones propagating it. It's going to be really hard to say, but forget about how smart they are. And don't forget about how hardworking they are. And I think that that's something that we as a culture are responsible for and we have to own. And so that's why I think modesty is such an important kind of thing, because you can do.
I agree. I mean, I think like this is something that needs to be coached into women in general, right? It's the modesty aspect, I would say. But because I think that in a large degree, women want to be sexualized. I mean, I think like the one
we want to be.
I think in a very large degree, women want that. That's why, like, the cosmetic that women. I feel like this: no woman in the world would be happy if she went through her day and she didn't think that there was somebody that thought she was attractive. No woman would be happy about that.
But that's not sexualized. That's different.
No. But I think like when a man, if an animal is looking at you in an attractive way, that is sexualized. There's an undertoning of sexuality in it. So like where I think a woman being attractive is not sexualized. It's just like you said, like how you and the other women in our family look at other women and, oh, they cute, they did that and whatever. That's not sexualized because you're trying to purposely find some. But what I'm saying is most women, and I would go on a limb and say it, will not be happy if they weren't sexualized one time in that day. They'd feel like something's wrong with me because somebody didn't come at me with a penis offer today. And that's important to women. That's important to women that they have that what I say highly sexually charged interaction. And
I think that's what
be feeling broken. You know what I mean?
I think that's, well, you know what? I'm going to do a little social experiment since you really have this level of deranged thinking. I want you to walk around because you work out, so you just go start peacocking everywhere and you tell me how much attention you get. And if it's value, like if you're getting it in the way that you want.
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up. I'll be 100% real with you.
What?
I could go throughout the whole day without getting a single piece of attention and be happy as long as I'm achieving the things I want to achieve in that day. Like, for instance, if I set out for the day and say, I want to make $1 million today.
Okay.
And if nobody talk to me, say hi to me, notice me and all that stuff, and I'm watching the thing, I'm like, damn, it's $999, $995. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy.
But that's what you value. That's what you value.
I'm saying, like, women they make themselves sexual because they put a lot of value on their sexual appeal, and I think like they're not. And then they try to mystify you for you to like, aren't my lips and eyes attractive, and the rest of me is nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not attractive. Fix the rest, and then, you know what I mean?
You know what? We gotta go because our time goes too fast in the road. I'm waiting for the day where you say, I had this meaningful conversation with this person and I absolutely fell in love with her heart.
I feel that. I can't wait.
And then I see the picture of this person and she is not this image of all the women I've ever seen you parade.
Don't wish that on me. Give me another blessing. Make another blessing come my way. Make it be like, let it be that I see her heart but damn, she's the paragon of a goddess of beauty as well and sex appeal. She has it all. Like don't wish to have
Let
blessing on
me
me.
say this. You know what? I think beauty, have you ever seen that movie is it not Ugly Betty, but like
Something like that. Oh yeah, I seen it. The one
where
that
she lived with Cameron Diaz or whatever, and
mhm.
then um he finally saw her and she didn't look like he thought she looked.
Yeah. I heard you.
Because that's what falling in love with somebody's soul does. It's
I
like
feel that.
you don't even see them for all because they're just so they're in your mind. This is the power of the brain. You can create a distortion of that level because what you fall in love with is so intangible.
I feel you on that.
And that's what I want for you. I don't want you just
But also wish the other the full wish for me the full, because words are so powerful. I want you to wish the full package on me. I want to be fulfilled on every dimension.
So, the next time we come together, we may have a guest, but there's a game called Pop the Balloon.
Okay.
So we're going to do it a little differently. I'm going to set it, and hopefully we can get this interactive. I've been working with the intern on this, where it will have statements and images, and you have to pop the balloon with the thing that resonates with you. Now, your niece showed me this show, and it's the silliest little show on YouTube, but it really it gets to the core of people's belief set and how they operate the world. So we're going to do that with you. And I don't know what the group chat's going to say about today's conversation. You have surprised many because the predictors were like, oh yeah, he's going to, he ain't going to want his wife walking around there in that dress. You surprised everybody. So, you're so complex, and, we're still trying to fill up your closet on a weekly basis. But
I had this experience in my youth, right? Where I had to meet up with this guy at a community center, a rec center gym, right? Mm-hmm. So it was busy. So when I get there, I couldn't find a guy, right? Mm-hmm. It was only, I don't know if there was more than one woman in there, but there was only one woman that stood out. And I mean, everybody who walked in there couldn't miss it, right? Okay. So when I walked in there, of course the woman stood out to me amongst all the people in there, right? And I couldn't find the dude because I was there looking for him. I couldn't find him, so he found me, right? And he walks up to me, he puts his arm around me, and at that time when he came up to me, my eyes just happened to be on that woman.
Okay.
And so he puts his arm around me, and we both, gaze at her, and he goes, "She's beautiful, isn't she?" And I say, "Yeah, she is." And he goes, "That's my wife." And I looked at him, and I just could see the pride he had in being able to share that moment with me in that kind of a way. And I was like, I said, you know what? I would love to be able to have that feeling one day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To walk in a place and be like, yeah, I know. That's you know what I mean? That's my woman. And, wouldn't any woman in the world want to have that feeling? And she doesn't even know that happened. That happened.
I would say the carnal part of your soul is really activated today. So we're going to leave it at that. Thank y'all for joining us in the Rogue Yard. I got to give a huge shout out because today is the Founders Day to my wonderful Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm going to be hanging out with my sorors. We are celebrating 118 years of dedicated service to all mankind, and I cannot wait to celebrate tonight's Founders Day with you all. I am turning into a pumpkin. I have gotten lots of invitations. I can't hang out all night because I got a full-time job, but I can't wait to see y'all.
And you got like some sort of shout, scream, noise, something.
We are professional educated. You always trying to diminish.
I know y'all be having some kind of crazy traditions out here. Y'all
have traditions that we share with sisterly love, and if you hang around us tonight, you'll see it. Right? So, shout out to all of us and happy Founders Day, sorors. Bye for now.
All right.